Adri at Finding 43 Real Estate here in beautiful Meridian, Idaho. And today I'd like to talk to you. I put my chart up on the screen here, share with you briefly. What we have going on here is something my last mentor helped it designed and helped me learn how to decipher it and use it it's a very valuable tool. Something I use, as you can see, weekly. I go in and I look at the current active, pendings, canceled, and with that, those numbers gives me the absorption rates. I also like to keep an eye on the price drop. So I'm going to start off in Ada County, which is where Boise is located. And maybe next week I'll talk more about Canyon County. But what we're looking at here is what's currently active from the first weekend in 2026 until week 14, obviously. And so you can see how, just how the market changes. And this is a lot better chart, more accurate and up-to-date chart, because it gives you weekly numbers, obviously, as opposed to monthly, which is what a lot of people depend on. And by the time you get those numbers, you're already a month and a half behind. Whereas this, you can see it coming, you can see it building and tapering off, right? So week one, here we are, we had 2,000 actives, then 1,000 of those went pending, right? So cancels, expireds, actually was 34, which was super surprising for me because I usually come in on the 1st of January when everybody else is out. They had gone out the night before, had a good time. No judgment here, but they went out, had a good time, and I'm in that next day because a lot of the agreements that people had signed, usually they expire on the 31st of December. And so I would go in and call those expired. So as you can see, and it didn't happen until week two where we really had a lot, 126. I called all 126 people. Well, I shouldn't say all 126. I went through 126 of the listings, right? Some go automatically back on. Some were still in contract with their past agents. But I did call, I would say I probably called 95% of those people. So as well, I like to keep an eye on the price drops, like I said, just to kind of decipher what's going on. But things it was interesting that things kind of tapered off to the second week of January 26, to where those numbers sort of flowed in and was sort of more the norm, or the typicals is what I've been used to. So anyway, getting back to the numbers, as you can see, first week we had 2,000 actives. And it climbed slightly. In the first week, you can see we had 2,000 actives, right? And 1,000 of those went pending in that first week, which is amazing, right? And some of that probably was filtering over from before Christmas too. So anyway, week two, we were down. We went down 200, almost 200, 115 anyway, 120, which is a huge jump for such a, we're a relatively small market. But anyway, and then as the weeks progressed, you can say we held pretty steady for most of most of January, February. We were right at 1,800. And then, we came into the beginning of March, which, actives, we had a lot come on, and look at how many pending were happening. I mean, we were just, so many houses were getting bought up. You can see really the number to look at in all of this is the absorption rate, right? So the closer you get to 100, it's more of a seller's market, right? Because 100% of all those listings are going pending, right? Ideally, and that's what you want as a seller. As a buyer, you want to taper off, and you look at that week one, you want to look at, what's the absorption rate that first week? Well, 50%. You got a lot better chance than you do, say, this week at 84%, because you got a lot more. Yes, you have a decent amount of inventory out there, right? However, you have a lot more buyers, and we're up to 84%, which is not as high as it was in week 13. However, still up in the 80s, above 80% percentile, which is huge. And then again, What I hear too is, what are sellers getting what they're asking? Well, the numbers tell it, right? You look at the price drops. In week 14, we had 162 price drops, which is a lot, right? There's a lot of inventory out there, but there's a lot of things getting bought up. Sellers thinking they can get, maybe not what the market will bear. There is, things are moving for sure. However, interest rates are keeping people at bay, right? We just had interest rates jump up almost 0.5% in these last 3 weeks. Huge, huge jump for people, and that pushes a lot of people out of the market. So, my words of wisdom here is that look for those. If you're in the market currently, seek out ones that maybe have been on the market for a little bit. That gives you, as a buyer, that would give you a lot more negotiating power, and the numbers tell it, right? The price drops tell it. People if they're motivated, they'll drop that price. So maybe look at a house that's a little bit out of your, the price range you might have had set up. However, if you do make them, that gives you more negotiating power if it's been on the market longer, right? And again, the numbers tell it. People are dropping their prices. They aren't going to get exactly what they wanted, and that's okay, right? This market has really stabilized. We're not in 2021 anymore. Sellers just don't put their house on the market, and we get multiple offers. We're starting to see a lot more give and take on both ends. So things to bear in mind moving forward. The next month or so is going to be a pretty good month. We will have more inventory coming on, so I'm going to look at those numbers, and I'll show you those as we go on. I think maybe once a month I'm going to do this sort of this analysis. Maybe even more, twice a month, just because I feel like these are the most accurate numbers. These are the most accurate numbers you're going to get as far as market statistics. This is week by week. This is really, really good information. And so if you're a buyer and you're trying to time the market, right, as we go through the year, you'll be able to look back. And I'm always willing to share this with you. You can always go back and you can see what weeks are the best, right? You can see where we have lots of actives and little pendings, and that's how you time the market, right? And just as a rule of thumb, I would say, as a buyer, you may want to consider, if you have time, you get time to try and pace the market. Usually right around June, the beginning of June, as kids get out of school, the market tapers off, and so June and July it gets kind of slow as people go on vacations and all of that. So people go up to the mountains here in Idaho, and so the market really softens a little bit, and then about mid-August things ramp back up. That being said, you may want to consider making a move in June, right? Because as those houses sit, and they sit for a long time, they sit all summer, they accumulate days. That does not look good for sellers, right? That's a black eye for sellers. That is my number one talking point with the seller. Days on market is a black eye for you. And as you all know, if you're looking online and you see a house has been on for 200 days, 150 days, what's your first thought? To me, it's like, okay, it's overpriced, right? And that's what I hear a lot of people say. This house is overpriced, and this house is overpriced, or there's something wrong with it. That's what I hear. So those are things to consider. If you're thinking of timing the market, I would say June, July as a buyer. If you're a seller, if you are trying to get it on now, I would move quickly. Move quickly, get it on, because again, June, July comes around, it's going to taper off. You're going to see those numbers, showings really drop off. If this is something you're considering, I would love to talk to you more. I'm happy to share this information with you. Please call, text, email, and I can send this to you, no problem. It's super easy to do. As well, I always include my buyer and seller and relocation guides are in the links below as well. I also I am part of the Ada County Boise Learns continuing community education program, where I teach buyer and seller classes. Super affordable. They're very affordable classes. They're $20 for a 2-hour class, one night, for the week, one night. And we have 3 classes of each coming up in these next couple months. You can look at Boise Learns and find out. I have a pathway to homeownership buyers class as well. I have a selling with success sellers class, and I would love to show you what I know and share with you and get you on the path to where you want to be and have you make the most of your investment moving forward. In closing, I hope that this brought you a lot of good information. I'm always up for conversation, coffee. That's key to my heart. So if you want to meet for coffee, schedule a time. I have links below in my on my emails as well, and you can set up a Calendly link and we can meet up for coffee. Happy to do that. Come by, see a class. Would love to see you in class. Boise Learns is a great program. A lot of great programs around town, homebuyer classes, but that's just one of them. As well, I teach that with my lender, Kim Stastny with Guild Mortgage. Phenomenal woman. She does a great job, been doing it since the mid 90s. For being 29, I don't know how she knows so much. Great person, great resource for you. So if you're at all considering making a move, please give us a call. Ada and Canyon County updates at least once a month. I hope to see you on the next one. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe. Thank you.